Hey guys, this is Impact Hall of Famer Gail Kim, and you are watching the Countdown City WrestleCast.
What's up, heels and babyfaces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I am joined this week by Mike.
Mike, I love wrestling. They're like Cesaro at WrestleMania, and we won't talk about any other pay-per-views afterwards. Love always wins. Boom.
As you no doubt know, today is another tag team match, but I'm teaming with my fellow Central Catholic grad, Mega Powers 99 reuniting here. It's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, brother.
This. We are going to be talking all about Impact Against All Odds. Also about NXT TakeOver In Your House, which, based on what happened on NXT this evening, just looking even better and better. We'll also discuss a little bit of wrestling news that has just dropped, some of which pretty late breaking. And it's going to be Mike and I. Congrats, by the way. School year's over. Obviously, the hardest school year ever.
Jiminy Christmas. Yes, it was.
Teachers should get paid more. I'm proudly wearing that shirt.
That's an awesome shirt.
Yeah, thank you. Lifeisgood.com. Go support it. Congrats to Mike, my wife Tina, and every teacher out there. It was a hell of a year.
Yeah.
My daughter made it through first grade, completely virtual, and actually today got to meet her teacher for the first time in person. But
no, not the teacher for next year.
Yeah.
Literally the teacher she just had.
But was very excited to finally meet her, get her year-end award certificates, A honor roll. I'm very proud of her. It was a hell of a year. So
real quick, to add a story since you had one. Mm-hmm. I'm actually the NHS sponsor for the school I'm at, and we were able to have our officers' dinner this evening at an IHOP close to the school, and it was really cool because, I've had some students this year. But they're freshmen and they're kind of quiet. There's only like 3 or 5 at the most at the most of it at a time in the class. So really, we're in school year. So it was really cool to sit with these kids that I've just had to pretty much communicate with on Zoom and stuff, even as NHS officers. So it's as difficult as it is. It really is when you get those kids in there that put in the effort and do that. It's really rewarding. So it was kind of nice to see them this evening, and wish them luck before their graduation later this week. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah. For my wife, this was her 13th year teaching. Hell of a year to have on your 13th year.
that puts me at 16.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know this is a wrestling podcast, but I got to tell you one more story since we mentioned teaching. Mm-hmm. At my first school, I lasted 5 years, okay? I'm not going to name or anything, but they gave you a pin for your 5 years, but they do it at the beginning of the year meeting for the 6th. So I didn't get my pin then. Last year ended my 10th year in my new district. They do 10 years. We didn't have an end of the year thing. So I was wondering if at the end of this school year, they would recognize both years. No. So somehow both times that I've gone for a recognition of time served pin, as I'll call it, I managed to somehow not get it. So 16 years in, no pin.
COVID's screwing everything up, even the pin ceremony. Dang it. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
this is not Countdown City Teacher Cast.
No, although maybe we should. We should. Yes. Few drinks and talk about your crazy stories, right? Today, you can follow us on Twitter at @CCG_WrestleCast at the bottom of the screen. Mike and I will both point. There we go.
No Tommy in the way. No.
Tommy actually is at a graduation right now for his stepdaughter, so he was not joining us tonight. However, he did give me his notes, which, by the way, tell me you're a writer without telling me you're a writer. If you give me 2 pages of notes to talk about 2 pay-per-views.
Oh, nicely paragraphed. Yes. Way to go, Tommy. I like it.
But we're gonna talk about Impact Against All Odds. We're gonna talk about NXT TakeOver In Your House. But we're gonna start by talking first about the NWA pay-per-view that just happened. We're just gonna go quickly run down. haven't seen it yet. Got a lot of news about it, some newsworthy stuff. But NWA, When Our Shadows Fall, pretty good pay-per-view from what I'm hearing. For $20, it's not a bad buy. You can still go and buy that. Check, I believe it's Fight TV, or even your pay-per-view provider may still have it on replay available. Three big match results that really stood out to me, though. One is that Kylie Rae and Taryn Terrell defeated Thunder Rosa and Melina. Kylie Rae actually got the pin on Melina, but it was interesting because Kylie Rae pulled some tights to get the pin. Very un-Kylie Rae-like, to the point where apparently after the match she was very like, oh my god, I can't believe I just cheated to win kind of thing, So I know that there's been a lot, Mike, you were mentioning that people were giving Kylie shit about starting AEW, retiring.
No. So let me. I want to word it carefully.
Go for it.
I just read a report that some of the talent and Impact were kind of interested to see that she showed up in MWA. It made the article made it clear that they weren't upset or mad, just that last they had heard she was there for a little bit, and then she, for whatever she's dealing with, whatever is going on, was going to retire. So she shows up again, and apparently like they're on good terms or anything. The wrestling community, that toxic side of it that shows up online every now and then, that's a different story, but I don't care about them. They're not really worth time about talking about. That just always want to tear stuff down. But no, it was really more that Impact talent just like they didn't know, and I guess it was a pretty well kept secret that she was coming back. So it's each time I hope it works out for her, whatever she must be going through, or whatever she's had to deal with. It seems like she has a lot of talent, and she has a character that seems to connect with people. Hope she's able to stay here and put some time in. So,
yeah, it's been no secret that my daughter loves Bayley, and when she saw Kylie Rae in, I want to say it was in AEW and even in Impact, she really enjoyed watching her. Very similar character to Bayley, always cheerful. She really liked her and misses her, just like she misses Kyrie Sane. But I know the retirement. AEW took a step back from that, retired after Impact. And for all we know, it could be a mental health thing, whatever she has to deal with. And that's up to her to deal with. Maybe she's more comfortable in NWA or even on the independent scene. But I'm just happy she's back, wrestling, making appearances. And it'd be interesting to see what kind of storyline they build with this. So I think she's a great talent. And just whatever she's got to deal with is more important than it is wrestling. That's the big thing. So
definitely.
Some other results quickly. Camille defeated Serena Deeb for the NWA Women's Championship.
That was interesting.
Very interesting, because I know Serena's been making a lot of appearances on AEW, which has me wondering if we're not going to see Serena Deeb on NWA very much going forward, as she may be transitioning more and more to AEW, very similar to how Thunder Rosa is.
Yeah. I know we kind of talked about this a couple of weeks previously. And we mentioned too that apparently at a show, or I don't know, about a month ago, Thunder Rosa had a match with Camille Brickhouse, where it was like a loser stays in the company. Basically, if Thunder Rosa lost, she wouldn't have been able to keep going outside of NWA. So, I mean, obviously, clearly, Rosa won the match to keep going. But Serena Deeb is really just one of the most complete female wrestlers on the planet. She's just solid. She doesn't necessarily bring the character that a Sasha Banks or any of the top women you think of. But as far as wrestling, in a very Cesaro, Daniel Bryan kind of way, she's just solid. Like, she can go with anybody. So she had a nice little run. It looks like Camille's kind of that big, kind of an intimidating looking woman. So looks like they're going to give her a little run with it. But I wouldn't mind seeing more Serena in AEW, getting more exposure on TNT and even next year on TBS. So
definitely. And then final result there, Nick Aldis did defeat Trevor Murdoch to retain the NBA World Championship. But it was pretty odd because this is a big NBA pay-per-view, and they went with a DQ finish. So
you were saying that, and that's especially the way it apparently played out. The way he said, just real peculiar.
Yeah, for those that haven't seen it, just a little spoiler alert. Apparently, the way it ran down is that the referee got, took a bump spot, is out. Murdoch gets a hold of a chair, is hitting Aldis with it, gets the chair out of the ring, gets the ref back up, and goes to pin Aldis. And the ref says he saw it, Murdoch hitting him with the chair. So he calls for the DQ, and Murdoch is like, I got screwed out of a title shot, whatever. I'm sure there's other things that happened in the match that kind of led up to that point. I'm sure Aldis might have done some shit too. But the point is like, I don't know. It just seemed odd for an NWA main event to end with a DQ finish like this. It's very un-NWA.
Yeah, not to mention, the way you said it, like, I feel like maybe it's happened once or twice where the ref was down but still somehow saw what was going on. That's a really, and especially for your big, your first pay-per-view back. I don't know, and I know Aldis. I mean, obviously they were kind of shut down for part of COVID, but he's had that title.
Good while.
I think what Cody beat him
He won
right before AEW started, or right around the time AEW was starting.
He won it at Cody won it at that All In show, which was technically not AEW, but it was like the independent show they did. In Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, but Aldis won it back like I don't know, a month
later, right after. Yeah,
and he's had it.
So
ever
he's
since.
other than that, for like that 1 month, he's had it for what 2.5 years almost.
Pretty much for a good while. So yeah,
That's
almost.
interesting.
I mean, almost as long as we've been running this show. When you think about it, yeah. So he's still got that title going, and who knows when they're going to take it off him. He's had it for so long. So
yeah.
Tommy, in his paragraph or book, whatever you want to call this, essay, said thoughts on the NWA show. I love that Kylie Ray is back in wrestling. I hope she is okay mentally. However, the wrestling fans, he puts in quotes, who are still making jokes about her pisses me off. The amount of lack of respect is actually staggering. I might end up talking about that on my channel as well, but that's neither here nor there. I'm glad she's back, and it's awesome that Camille won the Women's Championship. Good for her. It sounds like the whole show was really good. Hopefully I can check it out at some point. Yeah, by the way, Tommy did share his thoughts about all the releases, everything that we had that bonus episode about last Wednesday on his channel. Back about a half-hour video. He had a lot to say. So go check it out. I know we're having some technical issues with like Discord stuff. Hopefully we can get those resolved in the future so that we're not having this crazy stuff happening when he's on the show. So, but that's NWA When the Shadows Fall. Again, it was $20 on Fight TV. I'm sure if you want to see the replay, go check it out. Now we're going to move into the pay-per-views coming up this weekend. The first of which is Impact Against All Odds. This is an Impact Plus exclusive show, part of their streaming service, Impact Plus. 7 matches on the card. Some seem pretty interesting to me. The biggest one, of course, is the main event, which is Kenny Omega against Moose. We'll discuss that. And Tommy did send me his picks too, so I'll be talking about those as well. We'll start this off, though, with former Impact World Champion Rich Swann, the most recent one prior to Kenny Omega, is wrestling W. Morrissey, who seems to be the next big star that they want to push. He's kind of pretty much squashing or beating everybody that comes in his way. Tommy put, he's picking Morrissey. I feel like they want to push him to the sky, and sadly Swann might be the launching point. And I pretty much tend to agree with that. That's kind of when I saw this, like, poor Swann. he just...
Yeah, and I agree with you too. Mm-hmm. But I think it can kind of continue the storyline because off of him losing the Impact title to Kenny Omega, back when that happened and Moose told him, if you lose this, basically to beat you up. I think it might be okay in that storyline wise to give him another loss. You get Morrissey that push that I think we all kind of see him starting on, and it adds to that Rich Swann like trying to deal with another loss. He's just hit some hard times. He lost the title for his organization. If they do that well, I think you can continue that, get what you want for both of them, and continue on some storylines. So I get kind of poor Swann, but if you book it well, you could make it a good story that helps them both in the end.
Okay. So clean sweep Brawl and Morrissey then from there, and hopefully they do something really well with this. By the way, if I seem a little distracted at random times, the Avalanche are playing. It's a intense game 5. They're up 1-0 right now, so I'm like kind of glancing at the TV real quick. So I'm not ignoring what's going on here. I just my mind's in two places right now. So
Countdown City Hockey Cast.
yeah, especially because my brother.
That's when the other Mikey shows up.
Well, his team advanced, and if we advance, we're playing each other. My brother-in-law and I. So this is a pretty stressful time because kind of hoping it happens, you know. All right, next match: Satoshi Kojima against Joe Deering. Tommy picking Kojima. The reasons I have are long and detailed, and I'll say on my channel as to why. To sum up, I just think the history from Japan with these two will come into play, but despite Violent by Design, I strongly feel Kojima will come away with the victory. That is interesting too because, yeah, Violent by Design will be in Doring's corner. They do have their own match later in the evening. So I don't know how involved they're going to be. I wonder if they're going to get expelled from the ringside sometime early on. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm with Tommy. I think Kojima making kind of, I guess, like a semi-big debut or big pay-per-view event debut. He's got to win this, I think. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I mean, I don't know as much about their specific history, but like, you know, Doring just puts on great matches, and you know, Kojima, you know, is pretty much the same thing. So, but yeah, I agree, and I think they may be assuming this is somewhat of the order that the tag team champion match comes after this match. I think that may play into it as well, as far as whether they're out there or maybe they're, you know, in the back getting ready, kind of thing. But I agree with you. I'm gonna go with Kojima as well.
Okay. Next we get it gets a little interesting here. X Division #1 contender 5-way match.
God, I hate these.
Yeah, no.
Like when you have 5 or 6 options, and it's all these guys that you could legitimately in your head justify any of them winning. Oh, these are the toughest.
So here are the 5: Petey Williams, Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and Rohit Raju. The winner gets a shot at a later date against Josh Alexander for his X Division title. Tommy is actually going with Chris Bay. I was surprised when I read this, but he says everyone knows I'm an Ace Austin mark, which is where I thought Tommy was going to go. But I'm even more of a Chris Bay mark. I feel like his due is coming, and this might be the road to get him there. But after Josh Alexander's Ironman match with TJP, it's hard to imagine Alexander losing anytime soon. So Tommy is going with Chris Bay. Mike, where are you going with this? Like you said, these are
you know,
hard.
like I said, it's so difficult. Here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Petey Williams.
Okay.
I don't know how much this generation, or you know, some of the people that have gotten into Impact more recently, understand Petey Williams' place in the X Division hierarchy of things, and you know how much of a big part of it he was. So, in my head, my thought would be he wins it. You know, has a match with Josh
Alexander.
Thank you. His name just went out of my head.
Yeah.
And just to kind of give him, you know, a win over an X Division legend. As you said, I agree that I think Alexander, like we talked about it when he first won it, then he had this amazing match with TJP. I think they're really pushing him for a solid run, where eventually maybe he cashes in. What is it, option C or
option C, which would be for
right?
the title?
Yeah.
Usually around Destination X, but that can pretty much happen.
Yeah, depending on how that works out or how they do that. The way they're pushing him and the kind of wrestler he is, I think that may be in his future. But you know, I mean, he put on a great match with any of these guys. I just in my head, you know, maybe get Petey Williams so you get a win over an X Division legend to just kind of add to your resume.
Yeah, you mentioned these are hard. By the way, Avalanche just scored, so I'm really holding my excitement right now. This 2-0 Avs, let's go, baby. But I'm going with one that's, I think is kind of a dark horse here, and I'm going to go Trey Miguel. I think he's going to sneaky one, and, you know, I don't know if he'll beat Josh Alexander, like you said. I think Alexander's going to use this, like you mentioned, to get the option C match against who knows who the champion is at the time. But I think Trey Miguel, this is a chance for him to shine, get an opportunity, and really showcase what he can do.
You know, he has a chance to pull a Josh Alexander in a sense.
True.
You know, we talked about after the North broke up and Carter, you know, Ethan Carter went to AEW. what would Josh Williams or Josh Alexander do when you see what he's done now? The Rascals, they left, or two of them, to be MSK, and he stayed, and he's talked about that, and maybe this is his chance now to kind of shine in his own spotlight. So that'd be interesting.
And then what if he wins and the Rascals all have gold in different companies?
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. That's always a fun thing.
Yep. All right, Knockouts Tag Team Championship, Fire and Flava against Kimberly and Susan. It should be fun seeing Susan wrestle, right?
Yes.
Tommy is going Fire and Flavor. I feel like every time I pick Fire and Flavor, they lose, but I'm positive they'll win this time, kinda. I'm still thinking the Iconics, shut up, Mike, and put down your thesaurus. He literally said that. Will debut at Slammiversary, and they will challenge Fire and Flavor, maybe even win. I'm going Fire and Flavor, and I think for the reasons that he just mentioned and that you're thinking that it's going to be Fire and Flavor, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest. Like, I was still really shocked that they won them back from Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellery.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at this point, to win them back so quickly, again, I hope Impact's not going to start some sort of hot potato with the tag team belts here. So no, I'm going to go Fire and Flavor 2. Whatever name Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay we hope show up with, I think that would be fun. That would definitely be a way to go. So
I still think they could say Iconics, but with one eye, and that technically doesn't break a trade.
Well, I was thinking about it. Isn't that what WWE did with Taz back in the day? So it didn't get from Warner Brothers and the cartoon Taz?
I think because Taz owned the intellectual property on just one Z, so they added an extra Z as a wrestler. So they added the extra Z so they could claim like some intellectual property over him. For the same reason that they added a Y in Rhino instead of the actual spelling that he uses. That was their little makeshift thing. So it would come full circle if the Iconics just dropped one I and called themselves the Iconics with just one I instead of two eyes.
Or what if they spell EYE at the beginning, like I, and then somehow put eyes in all their gear and stuff?
It's going to be something hokey, but it's going to be fun. And they're a package deal. I agree. I think we're all waiting for Slammiversary to see what happens.
Yeah.
The 3 days before Slammiversary is when the no compete drops. So we'll see. All right. Another tag team match, World Tag Team Championship, Violent by Design against Decay. Very interesting one. How this is, two. I think we know how great these teams are, but now they're going to get a chance to really showcase it against each other. Decay, of course, is made up of Black Taurus and Crazy Steve. Tommy going with Violent by Design. While I do feel like Decay should win the tag titles, I don't think it'll happen tonight. I do hope this will be the beginning of a long feud. I love the idea of a crazy heel faction and a crazy face faction going up against each other.
This should be a fun match.
Should be fun. I'm going with Violent by Design. I like this stable with Eric Young as a mouthpiece, even though he's not wrestling.
Right.
I think it does really well for all of them. Even Eric Young, even when he's not working the match, still able to lead a group with his voice.
Yeah.
So I really like this. But yeah, a long feud like them, best of 7 series for all we know. Who knows, right? Mike, what about you? Where are you going?
I think I'm going to go with the old Violent by Design. Crazy Steve's a great wrestler. Black Taurus brings just such a different... I don't even know how to explain it. Just, what he brings to the ring and his character and stuff is awesome. And you almost kind of want to see this in some sort of gimmick match of no DQ or, what are some of the ones that Impact has done in past years, like the weapon. What was like the Raven one?
Monsters Ball, not
Monsters Ball or
Ravens
or something along those lines where they get to use trash cans and tables and chairs. But for the regular match here, I'll go Violent by Design. But I think that's going to be a sleeper match on this show.
Really will, and for all we know, sometimes they have to open with tag team championships. It could open the show really good off, because there's no pre-show on this. It's just straight into it. So, all right, Knockouts Championship. I want to say this should be pretty easy, but who knows? Deonna Purrazzo, as of right now, is defending against Rosemary, but there's a chance Havoc could be added to the match. Rosemary and Havoc are wrestling this Thursday on Impact. If Havoc wins, she gets added to the match at Against All Odds, and it becomes a triple threat. So that's kind of where that stands. So as of right now, it technically is Purrazzo against Rosemary. Let's see. Tommy picking Purrazzo. At this point, it's nearly impossible to bet against Deonna. Like Hikaru Shida before Double or Nothing, Deonna has been the standard bearer for women's wrestling and being a women's champion. I don't see her losing it until Slammiversary. Deonna, Shida, Britt Baker, Asuka, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Io Shirai were some of the greatest heroes of the pandemic era, just based on the 2020 they had. All of them should go into a Hall of Fame. Sorry, this went long, he said. Yeah, Purrazzo, for the same reason, and yeah, it just kind of screwed me over at Double or Nothing, but I'm going with Deonna until I see like some of the big challenging. There's nothing against Rosemary, but I feel like Deonna has established that she dominates this division in Impact, and I think this is going to hold up for a good while. So she's made a name for herself since her abrupt release from WWE, and she's really backing up her word. So I'm going with Deonna here.
Same with me. I mean, pretty much all the things y'all have said. Like she's been dominating. She's really. I know you like to go back to her talking about when she was released. Saying she's going to become a star, and she really has. So I agree. Even if they add Havoc, I think that'll just add that much more fun and brutality to the match. But I think Purrazzo will tap one of them out in the end.
All right. Finally, main event time. Impact World Championship. Kenny Omega defending this against Moose. I'm sure the Good Brothers and Don Callis and everyone else will be there ringside at some point. But this is one that's been a lot of people have been looking forward to. Had the circled since this one was set up. Tommy is picking Moose.
Interesting.
He says, "Sorry, but I'm convinced this is where Omega falls. I feel like the Moose versus Sammy drama will take them both to Slammiversary. Kenny just barely managed to leave Double or Nothing with the AEW title, but I feel like the Impact title is about to come off of him. All due respect to Kenny, but I feel like this is Moose's time. He's been consistent and, in my opinion, is one of the most improved wrestlers in years. Moose has been so close every time to win the Impact title. I feel like it's going to happen here." Tommy's going Moose, and I've been back and forward with this because I Moose has really played up the whole contract situation. Someone someone reported on Twitter that he had re-signed with Impact, and he literally quote tweeted it and said false, like wrong. It's not true. So he's really playing it up. But one thing that does stand out is Omega had a tough time at Double or Nothing. Really tough time, and barring any outside interference, probably would have lost the title to Orange Cassidy. So I think it showed that he's vulnerable. The interesting part is, does Tony Khan let his champion lose on another show? And I'm kind of with Tommy. The answer is yes, but I think after Moose wins, Tony Khan offers him an AEW contract, and he still keeps the title on AEW, and that really pulls up a heel Moose kind of thing. So.
Interesting.
Maybe for storyline, I don't know if it'll be a real contract, but the idea is that they kind of play up that he's the title holder, but he's not going to be a part of Impact, kind of thing. So, which might bring. I
was going to say it might bring. I'm forgetting. Rich Swann back into the storyline,
right?
For how upset Moose got about him losing it, and then to pull something like that, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I've been back and forth too. And I think I'm going to join y'all, but I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I think he's going to lose it because an AEW guy is going to come in. I think the Good Brothers are going to get involved. Maybe the Bucks show up even. But I think someone along the lines of Kazarian, maybe because he's kind of going after the Elite for breaking up SU, but that's a little bit more the Bucks. Kenny and Eddie and Mox again. It's kind of funny because I don't know if you saw the thing with Game Changer Wrestling and Nick Gage, where him and Mox were talking trash or whatever, and they thought Mox showed up, and it wound up actually being Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, instead of Mox. So I'd be interested to see if something like that similar happens where they think it's someone and it winds up being like Mox or Eddie. Yeah, so I think I'll go Moose too. I was wondering if they would do it this quick, but I do agree that Omega, they're starting to show a little bit where he's really needing some help. And I know that's kind of heelish and that's kind of playing to his, overblown ego, but he still needs the help. That's why I think it's going to take, with all the interference he has, it's going to take, I don't, almost like an Austin helping Mick Foley win, something like that, where he comes in and loses that belt, and then you continue that on to the AEW show, because he's got Jungle Boy in 2 weeks on top of that.
Yeah.
There's an altercation with Christian that never really, it's kind of sitting there, and Christian's got Impact ties, so.
Yeah, and we still have Dynamite on Wednesday. How do they continue the fallout from Double or Nothing with Orange Cassidy and Pac? Because both of them think they have a shot too. To get it. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Orange Cassidy shows up at Impact as well, right?
Oh my God, the Good Brothers, that would be awesome too.
Maybe there's
not the Good Brothers, the Best Friends.
The Best Friends, yeah, that could be fun too. So, yeah, it's definitely all eyes going to be on. It's crazy whenever AEW or Impact has a show. You feel like all eyes are on both Dynamite and the Weekly Impact show to see what's going to happen. Yeah, so kind of keep a lookout for that and see how they do it. I wonder if Moose would show up Wednesday. Who knows?
It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Moose has been getting swole, though. He's been jacked.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's quite a transition. So, all right. That is Impact Against All Odds. Again, comment if you're watching this later on. Let us know what you think, who you think is going to win, and where we go from there. So that is the Saturday show. We'll have more details on how you can watch that later. Now we'll get into the Sunday show. It's still weird to me NXT getting their own shows on Sundays, but at least they're getting their own weekends apart from the other WWE pay-per-views, which is kind of cool. NXT TakeOver In Your House. I love that they do In Your House. They kind of found a way to bring it back. I really hope they do the whole promotional consideration, pay for it, do those old things.
I don't know how much you saw of NXT, but Michael Hayes dusted off the old Doc Hendricks look and did a little thing for it too. I saw that.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny.
I'm looking forward to see if they do the whole house setup again in the Performance Center for this.
And who's going to jump off of it?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a good chance, considering the matches, somebody could be jumping off of it. So now it's funny when I made the agenda, I had it ready to go Sunday evening, and I sent it to the guys, and I had a feeling, okay, I know this is kind of a rough draft because who knows what's going to happen. And sure enough, a couple big things got changed or added on NXT tonight prior to us going live. The first of which is the first match we're going to talk about, which is LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. But now it's a ladder match for the $1 Million Championship. First of all, Mike, old school guy, how cool is it to see Ted DiBiase in NXT?
It's always fun to see DiBiase and some of them show up. And what I appreciate with at least DiBiase and NXT up until this point is WWE usually has this bad thing of bringing their legends back, but oftentimes they make them look silly, or they don't. I almost feel like they don't show real respect because they're just kind of in comedy stuff. And don't get me wrong, like what DiBiase's doing is kind of funny, but I don't feel like it's being done in a way to make him look weak or anything. It's funny because it fits in with Cameron Grimes. LA Knight, I know he used to be Eli Drake. I'm not sure what the character is completely still. So I don't know, but yeah, DiBiase, I mean, even though you found out about him in real life and he's kind of changed, I think he's like a minister or something.
Yeah.
In real life, just every time he brings out that laugh, and the general character is just great. So that and the $1 Million Championship, which has ties to pre-Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So
Steve,
the Ringmaster.
The Ringmaster, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
The Ringmaster. It's funny you mentioned him being a minister. Have you ever seen the series Righteous Gemstones on HBO?
No, I've heard a lot about it, but
oh my God, it's John Goodman's in it.
Yeah.
What's his place that played Kenny Powers?
He's I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
He's Bound and Down.
Yeah, he's Bound and Down, and it's a great cast. It's this family of like preachers and everything. And you mentioned a minister, $1 Million Man. It's just, man, I would love for Ted DiBiase to pull this whole righteous gemstones type thing. But the hijinks they get into, right? This one is tough. You're going with LA Knight? Is that who you're thinking?
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with Cameron Grimes. I was just saying I don't know if I really get what the LA Knight character is yet.
Yeah.
You know, he's I don't know. It's I'm not quite 100% sure where he's at. And I just feel like with what Cameron Grimes his story and getting like in real life the money off the cryptocurrency or whatever he wound up doing, I think it just kind of plays into a modern version of the $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
You know, obviously whatever DiBiase. I don't know if they ever really talked about where DiBiase got his money from. They may have in the original vignettes or whatever.
Drugs. Who knows? If I have to guess, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the '80s locker room was probably full of them, so if he was surprised. But I think it's a fun thing for Cameron Grimes. Even though he's kind of a heel, but everyone loves his character. So I hope that's where they're going. I think I'm going to go with that.
All right. Tommy is picking LA Knight. As said, this is one of the hardest ones to call. Now, he made this pick before he knew it was a ladder match. So, he sent this before they changed it. Both are on the rise, and I can see either of them being NXT or North American champion before the year is out. I'm picking Knight because he's newer, and I don't never seen a loss that hurt Grimes' status.
Well, that's true. He's one of those characters that can kind of overcome those.
So Tommy's going Knight. I think the whole cryptocurrency thing really plays into this whole $1 Million gimmick pretty well. I wonder if they're going to change Grimes' character a little bit to be a little more stuck up now that he's a crypto guy and he wins them.
Well, I don't know if you've watched it, but they're kind of doing the Beverly Hillbillies with him a little bit, because his character was kind of a country boy before, and now he's got the money. So they're doing a little bit of that. I know, like, right when they started it and when they were starting to talk about, like, when they were planting the seeds of $1 Million Man, he tried to do some of the old $1 Million Man things where, like, dribble this basketball 10 times, but he doesn't kick it. So the person just dribbles it 10 times. He's like, oh. And, like, I forget exactly what, but he realizes, like, he was supposed to kick the ball out because that's what DiBiase did, like, on that old, WWE Superstars episode or whatever.
Right.
So it was kind of funny at first, but, yeah, and then, like, I forgot, he went to go buy some jewelry or something, and he finds out it's sold out, and DiBiase had bought all of it or something. So they've had fun with it, but to me, again, not in a way that makes DiBiase look silly, like funny. Just it's fun in his character. So
you want to make that more fun? Have this Beverly Hillbilly type guy, and DiBiase have to be his manager with the $1 Million Championship, because DiBiase is always attached to it.
Yeah.
So how would he go from being like the manager for, like, say, Andre the Giant and IRS and all these other guys to now he's having to manage this Beverly Hillbilly type gimmick who got lucky off Bitcoin? How great a storyline would that be? I'm going Grimes. That's why I'm saying that. But yeah.
No, I agree. But you know what you just made me think of, and I don't know if you were watching WCW at this time, but my love for, like, early '90s pre-Nitro WCW.
Right.
There was a storyline when William Regal was turning Bobby Eaton into Earl Bobby Eaton. So he's trying to teach him how to be like a proper British gentleman or something.
Oh, boy.
And something along those lines of, he wins, he gets the belt, and then DiBiase trying to teach him to be like a proper, rich millionaire, and not so much the Beverly Hill. I think those would be some even better vignettes going forward. Trying to teach him, to dine at the fine restaurants and, do all this kind of stuff. And I think you can have fun with that. And then, Cameron Grimes goes and puts on amazing matches anyway. So.
And then when Bitcoin starts to drop, he loses his money, and then he's not the $1 Million guy anymore.
I feel at some point that's the end game of that storyline. But
that's got to be. Like, they're just waiting for it to drop, and then he starts investing in, like, AMC and GameStop and gets his money back somehow. Who knows?
I wonder if it would be too over some fans' head if they play eventually DiBiase like the investment firms that were kind of doing the illegal stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
Selling short or whatever it's called, and then they basically tried to, like, manipulate it so they wouldn't lose their money. Like, and it might, a simplified version of that where DiBiase like is the cause of him losing the cryptocurrency would be kind of funny in the end.
Yeah, that could be fun. So that just there's a lot of ideas out there, but
Yeah.
So recap: I'm going Grimes, Mike's going Grimes, Tommy's
Yeah,
going
we'll go
LA
Grimes.
Knight. Yep. Xia Li against Mercedes Martinez is next. Tommy picking Mercedes Martinez. I feel like she needs the win, and Xia Li taking a loss would just add to the story they're building, and it'll be for the better. I'm hoping this will be a sleeper hit. I'm gonna go ahead and write Tina's name next to Mercedes Martinez as well. For one, she loves Mercedes Martinez. We've loved her for such a long time. Very happy to see her, and I do, for one, actually like her back in NXT. It is a better fit. Never mind the whole disruption storyline they did. She made the right call not being a part of that. But yeah, this is a tough one, the back and forth one. He's right. This is going to be a sleeper hit. This is going to be. I really think the $1 Million Championship is going to open the show. Just knock the ladder match out of the way, get it going. But this one could follow that, and I'm with Tommy and writing her name down, Tina as well. I like Mercedes Martinez. She does need a win here. She really hasn't gotten a big, high-profile win on an event since she got back down to NXT. So I got to go Mercedes Martinez. Michael.
I agree. Like, she came down and got the title match immediately, and had a good match. Did win that. Xia Li, this is kind of like her re-debut with this new faction she's in.
Right.
It's a tough one. I think I'll go with Mercedes Martinez.
It's a hell of a tag team name, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes. For some of the same reasons, I agree. Though I think you put her down there, you put her immediately in a title match, pretty much. But I think it would be good to kind of keep her winning matches and not just go straight into a losing streak. And I think the thing with Xia Li is whatever, I forget the character's name that's like sitting in the throne with the ring like hair over her face, and I forgot the little group that it's called, but I think maybe like Tommy said, that might play into a bigger storyline of her not, Xia not being able to get the job done, so they have to take it into her own hands. So
okay. All right, now this next match was actually just added today on NXT, so Tommy doesn't have a pick on this one because he sent me this before that. And this is interesting because there are two titles on the line. It's the NXT North American Championship and the NXT Tag Team Championship. They're both being defended in a 6-man tag team match. Winning team take all. So Bronson Reed, North American champion, is teaming with MSK, the tag team champions. And they're going up against Legado del Fantasma, which, for those that don't know, is Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza. So I wonder if they happen to win, this is going to be some Freebird rule where every title somehow on the line, or how do they decide who gets which title? I would think Santos gets the North American.
Yeah, I would assume Santos gets the North American, and Raul and who's the other one? Joaquin
Wild.
Wild, there you go. Mm-hmm. Would get the tag belts. That being said, I can't see them taking the belts off both of them, and it's almost like you would start a mini feud between Bronson and MSK if one of them cost the other their belt or belts.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Bronson Reed, a.k.a. NXT Cobb, and MSK. I do think down the road Santos has a better chance of winning the North American title himself. But I don't think they're ready to. I can see them switching and basically just making Bronson a transitional NXT or North American champ, basically. So I'm going to stick with Reed.
Yeah, I hope not. They made such a big deal about him winning the title. I really hope he gets a good run with it. So I'm with you, Bronson Reed and MSK. We love MSK as a tag team. I hope they have a good run together with this. And, even if they hold the titles, and then we mentioned Trey Miguel possibly holding a gold back in Impact. The Rascals all holding gold at the same time. So yeah, I'm going Reed and MSK there as well. Now the NXT Women's Championship, Raquel Gonzalez defending against Ember Moon. Tommy is picking Raquel. As much as I love Ember Moon, I don't see Raquel losing it already. However, this is one where I don't mind if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. To my knowledge, Ember has never won the NXT Women's Championship, correct? I'm trying to remember.
No, she did.
She did, but she never.
It was like a multi-person match, and she hit the Eclipse, I think, on Nikki, who was in a sleeper by Shayna or something
right.
like that.
That's right. Yeah, it was the fact that she. I'm just thinking about because she never could beat Asuka for it. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. So yeah, she's trying to be a 2-time champion. I don't see them taking the title off Raquel at this point. I think she's gonna have a decent run with it. They really want to push this character, this person, and I think Ember would love to be a part of that storyline. You know, I think Ember eventually will get back to the top in NXT, but I like Raquel Gonzalez right here on this one too.
I agree with you there. I mean, they brought Ember in, and she got into that tag team with Shotzi, and it worked out pretty well for both of them. They really melded. It seemed like they almost like behind the scenes actually became really close. Shotzi has her tank, and Ember would ride on in. They kind of melded that together. I think what this hopefully does is give people a chance to remember how good Ember is in solo matches, and then you have Raquel win to continue to build her up as a strong champ. I know Ember and Dakota had a match on NXT. I didn't see how that wound up ending. I think Shotzi is out injured. I don't know if it's legit or storyline. I think it's storyline. So I think Dakota might get involved. Unless the storyline was that Dakota, if she lost, she can't be a ringside. I don't remember if I was thinking of that or not. But
okay.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think Raquel's going to get the win. But I think this hopefully will remind people of how good Ember is. Not that they forget, but she's kind of been in that tag team for a little while now, and it's been a while since he's had a solid singles run. So
I'm trying to remember because I know they posted a highlight where Ember took like a corner spot against Dakota Kai, but
the kind of haluva kick type thing, or
something like that, where she kind of threw her into the ring corner. Something
oh,
like
okay,
that.
no,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see if there's any. I mean, if they add any stipulation to that, we'll find out that night too. So, all right. So we're all going Raquel. Now, you hated this kind of match when we talked Impact, and now you're kind of getting it again with the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross is defending this championship against Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano. So basically, we're getting the battle of the 5-way matches, one on Impact and now one on NXT.
Yeah.
Except the one on NXT is for the NXT Championship. They actually did kind of have like all 5 of them together in the ring to close the show. We'll point out that the show went off the air with Adam Cole holding the title up. So the little fray between the 5 of them. Tommy says he's picking Karrion Kross. I feel like if he loses it, it will be in a one-on-one match. But wouldn't it be hilarious if Dunne or O'Reilly wins it? Yeah, I think so. Before we get into this, I want to say, do you think Karrion Kross's character would ever work on the Raw or SmackDown rosters?
So here's the thing. In a sense, I think he may even be better suited for main roster because he's got the entrance, which I want to say this nicely. He's got the entrance. His in-ring style is much more like a Randy Orton when a lot of people were getting bored with Randy Orton.
Right.
I don't just want to be completely mean, but I don't get really hyped for Karrion Kross matches once they start. It's a very different style from the majority of your NXT champions and matches that you've had, especially in the era of Cole, Gargano, all those kind of guys.
Right.
So I'm kind of in two trains of thought, though, because if you wanted him to still look strong but take the title off him, well, a multi-person match is the easy way to do that. But I don't think Adam Cole or Gargano need the title right now. They've had really long. Adam Cole obviously had a real long run with the title. Gargano basically Mr. NXT at this point. O'Reilly and Dunn would be fun, but it's also. I also see where Tommy's coming from. Where if you're going to beat Cross, you want to see him get beat in a one-on-one, so the person who beats him kind of gets that takeaway from it. So I think I'm going to go Cross too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cross. The safe bet here is Karrion Kross, the way he's dominated back off of injury. But I know he says he thinks he should lose it in a one-on-one, but I've been thinking this along the similar lines. Kross seems like the type of character, the entrance, the way he works, the eye candy he has on his arm is more suited for that main roster kind of thing. And I could see...
That's true, she's blonde, so Vince is right there.
Exactly. I could see him losing the title, but not getting pinned for it.
Yeah.
That's why I could see Kyle O'Reilly getting his title win here, possibly pinning Adam Cole to do it, and maybe this sets up some sort of Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole match, one-on-one for the title, and they keep that feud going, former members of the Undisputed Era kind of thing.
Yeah, but where do you go with that? What match do you go to after their, what was it, the Iron Man match, or what did they have where they beat the heck out of each other and suplexed them through the entrance ramp? Was it an Iron Man, or what was it?
I Quit, possibly, it might have been. I don't remember.
I don't remember what the stipulation was. I remember they beat the crap out of... Maybe it was Last Man Standing. Maybe that's what it was.
That might have been it, yeah.
I don't remember the stipulation. I just remember they beat the crap out of each other all over the ring and through the ramp entrance, and it was insane.
Let me go back on my notes here. Let's see. Oh, there was the 2-night match.
Was there a 2-night NXT thing?
It was an unsanctioned match. That's what it was.
Or just unsanctioned? Okay.
Yeah, it was night 2 of Stand and Deliver.
There you go.
And they had an unsanctioned match where they just went off.
Just unsanctioned, yeah.
So for this to be like a sanctioned kind of match, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go.
For my picks, I'm saying Cross. But Tommy said he would like to see O'Reilly or Dunn win it. If Cross loses, I don't see him getting pinned for it. And I think Kyle O'Reilly would be the one that wins the title coming out of this if Cross is not the champion.
Yeah.
And they kind of try and legitimize his title win too by running him through the gauntlet of some tough contenders.
Yeah.
Before he finally drops it. But also, if Karrion Kross does lose the title, I think he's a main roster push very soon. Yeah. Especially in the lead up to Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. Right. I think that's the plan for him. It's possible that they could be pushing him towards a SummerSlam debut since they like to make big debuts, big things there. Maybe Money in the Bank, who knows? But I think they want to try and get his character going when they start getting into live crowds returning. So I think if he does lose, we're going to see him on Raw or SmackDown. Probably Raw, because Raw freaking needs it right now.
Yeah, but I wonder if he wants to go to Raw.
Kind of go where they tell him to go, really. But I mean, he could do some stuff on Raw and get some eyes on him, and maybe try and bring some eyes back to that, especially with Scarlett Bordeaux. So I mean, it's kind of they gotta do something.
I see what you're looking forward to bringing to Raw.
I'm looking at it through Vince's eyes. He's the one you got to please, right? That's kind of how you go with it. So, but you mentioned it. He wrestles like a main roster heel, and
and you're not wrong, because over on SmackDown they released Ruby Riott, and all of a sudden Liv kind of started going back to not quite the character where she was basically turning into, who's got it now, Carmella, or I don't know.
So yeah,
but she definitely got away from some of her or it seems like they wanted her to get away from some of her Riot Squad type stuff and more into, you said eye candy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of I think the way Vince is slowly going back towards. So unfortunately,
I think
I say unfortunately because I think we should be at a point now where we recognize the talents that they have wrestling and what they can do in the ring. But
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
I'll add something. But I just say that's our preview for NXT Takeover in Your House. Check it out this Sunday. We'll have more details on that. You mentioned that, and the way the women have been booked on WWE recently, outside of the big high-profile matches, when they're getting 5-6 minute segments on the show, I'm starting to wonder, like, are they regressing away from the whole women's evolution that they championed?
Yes.
And it's really starting to look like that. And I hate it. I don't like seeing that.
I mean, this is why I don't trust WWE or anything. I mean, they're a big corporation. We talked about it in a sense on the show about the releases, is that they're making more money than they've ever made. And, they're doing all these releases and they're trying to turn into, I think the story I saw is they want to be like a Marvel type, where their brand just goes across all different types of media and things. And so even when the women's evolution was happening, as good as it was for a lot of those women, you just take it as, or I took a lot of it as corporate speak. They're just, just like, well, I don't want to get into too much current event type stuff, but just a company saying the right thing to get the applause, to get people to go, oh, look at what they're doing. They've always had talented women. They've always they chose for a long time to show them as we did. And look, I'm not going to lie. Us back when we were younger men, or early 20s, the Attitude Era type stuff. Of course we loved it because we were young dudes and we were dumb and,
Yeah.
Now we're older and even just understanding that they're human beings, like meeting indie wrestlers and really understanding what both the men and women, but we're talking about the women right now, what they go through. I want to see them wrestling and doing that kind of stuff. Like, if you want to see eye candy, I'm gonna say this nicely. There's lots of places you can find it for free on the World Wide Web. I mean, not that like I don't mind it, but I want to watch wrestling. I want to see matches, and you have some of the most talented women wrestlers right now. I mean, we talk about Bayley and Sasha and Charlotte. It seems like Becky's coming back. You have a lot of underrated women that you obviously didn't give chances. You had the Iconics. You had Ruby Riott. Who else did they release? Chelsea Green never.
Yeah.
She kept getting injured, unfortunately. You have more than enough talent, and yeah, I mean, I don't understand why they always seem to go back to that one very simple, like we've talked about it. They try to give it to Emma, and then they released her. They've tried to give it to Carmella now. Eva Marie's coming back, and they're making vignettes for her, and her vignettes have nothing to do with wrestling. She's doing a photo shoot on a car or whatever, and I think they're going to bring her back as a heel, even though it seemed like she was trying to come back as a babyface. I think they're smart enough to realize that the fans, especially when they go live, are going to crap all over it. But,
of course, yeah.
We'll see.
They're not going to like the fact that she's there. That's obvious.
Yeah.
They hate her before, so. Which is funny because there was a Total Divas episode where she's debuting as a wrestler and she's getting booed mercilessly and she has no idea why. It's like, come on. So some bit of wrestling news that has come out. Obviously, if you were watching AEW on Friday, and it was interesting to me because AEW, even though it aired after SmackDown finished on Friday night, it was trending more than SmackDown was on a lot of news. And partially is because Andrade El Idolo debuted on AEW. People were wondering what was going to happen with him since his WWE release prior to WrestleMania. The Now, from what some news reports I found is that shortly after his release was made official, he did talk with Tony Khan about him possibly debuting after the No Complete was done. They didn't sign anything then. Really, a lot of what Andrade wanted from the start, supposedly, was a lot of creative control over his character and some decisions on who he wins and loses to, and those kind of things. He wanted a lot of that for his character. He had some talks with Impact as well, and really just kind of, spent some time away. But apparently within the last week or so prior to his making his debut is when they officially made something set in stone. So I don't know how much creative control he really does have over it, what they've negotiated for him. But
I saw more reason like this afternoon that some of those early reports were not true. That he has a standard AEW contract. That I know that was a report too, because I was hearing that too,
right,
or seeing that. But there was some more recent stuff today that seems to be disputing that he's just got a regular contract. So, I mean, the way they brought him in, because I was watching it Friday evening, and Vicky's out. And I don't remember what was going on, or Vicky was out there, whatever. And she's talking, and she's getting her usual boos because she's kind of back into her heel character right now. And I think the fans kind of, in the same way, no matter when Kurt Angle comes out, they chant "You suck" with his music. I think the fans kind of do the same thing for Vicky Guerrero now, where if she's on, they just give her the real loud boos. Even though they kind of love her.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, she just starts talking about it, and then she's like, and she introduces it. You hear Andrade El Idolo, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then he comes out, and you're just like, and I know it got a lot of trendy news. It apparently reports are, though, that it didn't get the actual live time views because of it being a Friday evening. But I felt a little disappointed because I don't know if the fans, like some of the fans you could tell, but unless the audio just wasn't great, it didn't really sound like it was getting a big of a pop as you thought he should have gotten. And that's why I think I put in the group chat something about dang Florida fans.
Yeah.
That red state. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it's really cool, and apparently I don't know if he's in a stable with Vicky Guerrero, her little stable of Nyla Rose and some. I don't know, but
possible.
It's interesting. I just hope they use him well and start him off as something that in something that he can get some momentum going. One of the things you can criticize AEW with over their time is sometimes they don't do the debuts of new characters so well. Mm-hmm. They brought in Archer and Brody Lee only to sacrifice them to Cody Rhodes before they could kind of get on a track and start getting some momentum. Miro, obviously on a tear now, but again, really odd. And again, I heard some things about, Miro kind of wanted to do this at first. Brought him in where a lot of people were like, what are you doing with Miro? Teaming him with Kip Sabian, talking about playing video games. And a lot of people were kind of confused and weren't really into it at first. Now he's being Miro, being what he is and just tearing through competition. So I hope it's something that he can kind of build momentum early and you don't have to kind of let it build a few months before he starts taking off. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I mean, as they've said, they allow wrestlers to really express themselves and what they want to do. So a lot of it is really going to fall on Andrade to kind of build that storyline too.
Yeah.
So, for themselves. Now, you mentioned there's a few debuts that they haven't gone quite so good, but they get there. And one, unfortunately, was a bit heartbreaking. There was a lot of hype around Double or Nothing for Lio Rush making his debut as a part of the Casino Battle Royal. He was the Joker card. But literally about a half hour before we started this show, he posted on Twitter, and this is a bit heartbreaking, "I'm retiring from pro wrestling. It's been a crazy ride, but it's time to get off and do what truly makes me happy." He did link his Instagram where he has a full statement on his Instagram story. And I'll try and read through this here, and it sucks. I have written and erased this post so many times purely out of not being able to wrap my head around this. The moment I went home in a sling, I kept saying to myself, this was like any other time I got a little bruise or strain, and will shrug it off, continue my new journey. Once the pain subsided and I started to feel how uncomfortable I was to feel my arm hanging from my body, I sunk into immediate and rapidly growing depression because I knew something was wrong. I'll mention that because when he was on the Challenge Double Agents, one of the reasons why he did leave the show, even though he was doing pretty well, is the living situation. It was a lot of mental health issues he was having, a lot of flashbacks to waking up in like poorhouses and things like that, shelters and stuff like that. So that's why he had to leave the challenge. His statement continues, got the news that I'd be taking some time off due to this injury. Me thinking it would only affect my wrestling obligations, I still tried to go on about my days as I knew them. I realized just how much this would affect my everyday life. For anyone who knows me, you know that I work endlessly for me and my family. It became more and more frustrating every day finding little things that I could no longer do, like simply putting on a shirt, and much harder fact to deal with, not being able to pick up my newborn son. Now here comes the part that kept me up every night since Double or Nothing. Knowing that I just made my surprise debut in one of the most exciting times of my career, that part sucked. But I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had this past year after my WWE release. So cool of AEW still wanting to sign me despite separating my AC and the Casino Battle Royal. That's interesting. He heard it. He was under contract. AEW says, we still want you. Which would have led to me being the first person in history to be signed to two major wrestling organizations simultaneously. This is an unexpected turn down a road I would have and could have never saw coming. But I'm looking at this as a blessing in disguise. Since the injury, it's given me some time to think about what I want in life, what I want for my wife and my kids, and what's going to make me happy as far as my mental health is concerned. The timing of this injury has forced me to stop and reevaluate, and ultimately it's resulted in me making the decision to retire from professional wrestling. Thank you to the fans who have fought it out with me for the past 7 years and the people in my corner. Thank you to all the promoters and friends that I've met along the way who believe in me and my vision. This has been a great ride, but it's time to get off and do what truly makes me happy. Due to contractual obligations with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I will be making final appearances once I am healed. But for now, thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you soon. And then he actually posted a picture of his x-ray, and it's his shoulder. It's pretty much separated from his clavicle. It's pretty bad x-ray. And he says, final message, thank you. So final times we're going to see Lio Rush in a ring will be with New Japan once he's healed. He has to fulfill those obligations. Good on him for that, because he very easily could say, look, I'm done, but he's going to fulfill that, which is really good. But it is heartbreaking. He got released to WWE. He went on the challenge with a kid on the way. He left it back, made it AWW. There was a lot of hype around it. It was trending everywhere to see him back in the ring. And then this happens, and it sucks. I don't know what to say. It's this is just the worst thing.
Yeah,
but,
it's difficult, and it's something to think about too, because if this happened or something similar to this, and maybe it has stories similar to this happen when we were younger, we didn't really know about them because, not trying to sound like I'm in the business, but they were always trying to keep the kayfabe, and
right.
we didn't have, and then and we didn't have the internet, so stories like this would never get out. So first of all, just the fact that we can kind of follow this and you can kind of share that. I think that's really. I mean, I think him being able to share that is cool, in the sense that we get to see this and hear about it. I think it's heartbreaking, like you said, what he has to go through. But I think it helps too to kind of see the journey and then hear the way they do, what the way they feel about it, or the way they're trying to deal with it. It kind of connects back with me too to the Kylie Ray thing. Mental health and has become such a big thing, and it's great that across all our different sports and different things, and we're taking care of that, or we're paying attention to that and trying to take care of that. I know a lot of people will say,
Froze.
room. Yeah, but you know what? A lot of them were on drugs and alcohol and pills, and from what I wasn't there. I don't know these people. From the stories you hear and the things you hear about, old time, a lot of them just weren't good people. It seems like, so kind of connecting this back. I like the fact that we get to. I know we don't know them. I know we don't really know them, but we are let in a little bit more to their lives. I think of guys like the New Day and Austin Creed who, they do all this stuff on gaming and Twitch and up down down and all that stuff that you can kind of see and interact with um, so I think it's heartbreaking for him, but it's also I like that we're able to hear from him. He can reveal what he's dealing with, and it's not one of those stories where, with Leo Rush, whatever happened to him, we didn't see him, we don't know what happened.
Right.
I think that's kind of cool, and I know I also saw that he mentioned, and Mark Henry did, that they talked backstage at Double or Nothing because there was some stuff from his WWE release that supposedly they had some heat because of the things Mark Henry said about the way he was acting.
Right.
So it's good they also got to clear that up and move forward from that. So.
One thing I did spin it so positive. It's good that he's spending time with his kids.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially with the newborn, to do that. And I know he'd been working also a little bit on I believe, a music career too, coming out of this while he was with time off. So
yeah,
he'll focus more on what he loves and everything like that. So
on a side note, though, he made a comment in there that he was about to be the first person to be signed. Did he mean New Japan and AEW?
yeah, he's already
Isn't Mox? Didn't he get a contract with New Japan separate from AEW originally?
I don't know how the details are of that. That's interesting to point out. I don't know if the plan was ever from the start for Mox to have a full-on contract with AEW. I wonder if that's something that just came out because he committed more and then the pandemic extended it.
With AEW?
With New Japan. Because when the news came out, he's in New Japan, but he's still at AEW. He's making appearances, but he wasn't allowed to work for New Japan on U.S. soil, which is why he couldn't be a part of the G1 on the U.S. He can only do the Japanese shows.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And I guess there's a technicality. I thought I remember hearing when it all started that he had a separate contract for New Japan as he did for AEW. That just when he said that, I was trying to think about that. But that, I guess, I would have been interesting to see what the technicality of that is.
I wonder if Mox is really just paid by appearance with New Japan, and they work that out. Who knows? Or if it's like a loan from AEW, and they pay AEW to use him or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, Leo Rush. Look, for what it's worth, congrats on a great career. You made a lot of waves with what you were doing. WWE, we always expect to see a lot more. And a lot of it is not really your fault. It's the way WWE likes to book things. But you made waves. You made a name for yourself. I don't know if we'll see you more on reality TV. If you do, maybe you get your own show with your wife and your kids. Who knows? But I did enjoy seeing you on the challenge. And, whoever's wrestling, I think there's always going to be a place for him in wrestling somewhere. Maybe not necessarily in the ring. But maybe we'll see him at a future Comic-Con or Fan Fest and get an autograph.
Pretty cool.
Thing, he did leave his email there for booking inquiries, so you can always reach out to him for that too. So, final bit of news, another one that was breaking today. Mickie James has joined the NWA, and she's going to serve as an executive producer for an all-women's pay-per-view, the first for NWA, on Saturday, August 28th. I believe they're calling it NWA Is Power. It's actually going to be part of a back-to-back pay-per-view weekend for NWA because they're going to have another pay-per-view the following day. So they're going to have all women's on Saturday and then the regular standard pay-per-view on Sunday as well. So good for her. She's in a promotion with her husband again. So that's going to be really fun and interesting to see. And just the fact that NWA is doing a all-women's show, I'm hoping they turn this into an annual thing because WWE has really dropped the ball on that, and I really hope.
I was just gonna say why Evolution has not become an annual thing, or there has at least not been a second one, is honestly a disgrace.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what we did talk earlier. They really have dropped the ball. They really have regressed from what they said. And I don't know. Again, at this, I don't know. It goes bigger picture with WWE. Their model, it's just less and less every year. So it just if you enjoy wrestling the way we enjoy wrestling, it's just less and less for you, and it sucks because they have some really great talent.
Right.
They have some really great wrestlers, men, women, both. But what they want to put forward and the way they do the majority of it, so very little of it is really enjoyable when the way they're setting it up and producing it. So I don't know.
Yeah. We're delaying the game. Sorry. It's like something happened with the protective net that they have for the fans, and they're trying to fix that. But it's a pretty close game.
Wasn't like the Gold Cup final. Fans stuff on the field.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah. That
was a great game.
Yeah. All right. With that, we'll get into our 1 minute warning segment. Mike, do you have anything this week to talk about?
Sure. I mean, I can always make some stuff.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, the timer's up. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Well, we'll talk about my two favorite subjects, Cesaro and Bayley. I know we're talking about NXT, and I know Hell in a Cell is coming up. I don't know if it's going to be or they're going to do that, but Bayley versus Bianca in a Hell in a Cell, I think would be a great match. Their feud, which right after WrestleMania seemed like just something to build Bianca, or right before I should say, they've really come back around with Bayley after dropping the ball at WrestleMania, and again, she is just really putting on some amazing character work in building herself back up as kind of that heel, and hopefully helping Bianca get even bigger, because they're kind of doing a storyline now where Bianca's starting to question herself a little bit, because Bayley's laugh the storyline is basically in the sense that it's made Bianca feel insecure.
Yeah.
Because she just laughs. She doesn't even talk to her anymore. Barely just laughs. So just some real great stuff. I'm always gonna cheer for Bayley, and I don't know if I talked about this last time, but whenever Bayley turns face again, and if they hit that hugger music, now that fans are back, in a year or two, I really look forward to that moment.
That'll be fun. Yeah, definitely. One bit of news I forgot to mention: Shingo Takagi actually won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship,
right.
And Will Ospreay had a great tweet about it. Say congrats, but I want you to Google the word interim. I love it.
Way to stay heel, man.
Way to stay heel. Way to keep it going, and he's damn right. So no one's ready for the title. So
for full coverage on that, I'm sure check Tommy's channel.
yeah, I'm sure Tommy will talk about it too. I forgot to read his notes on the Andrade news. He said, "Good for him. Hope it all works out." But once again, here come the anti-AW / super pro WWE trolls. AW can't sign anyone that will make him happy. Fuck him. Who gives a shit? Right?
It's funny he mentioned that, and a lot of people are, oh, y'all said y'all weren't going to sign ex-WWE people, and you're signing a bunch of them. Well, the problem also was in the last 5 years, because of WWE's practices, everyone's ex-WWE.
Yeah.
Their whole point for like 5 years there was to sign everyone to soak up that talent that other people couldn't get to it. So, yeah, a lot of people have gone through WWE. I also kind of like the weird legend killer retirer storyline that Orton is unintentionally set up.
Apparently, yeah.
All the legends he attacked pretty much at WWE are now over on AEW.
It's that, and I think everyone that has ever teamed with Seth Rollins, except for Roman Reigns, has also been released. It is no longer in the company.
Geez.
So I saw somebody posted on that. So basically confirmed Roman Reigns will be the next one released from WWE if that holds true. So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. My 1 minute warning. We kind of did mention this a bit, talking about how the women's revolution at WWE has regressed. I want to talk about something I found on Impact Plus, which is really cool. It was a roundtable discussion with some of the past knockouts and ODB as well, who still works with Impact, and them just talking about their time, how they got started. Gail Kim, Brooke, Tessmacher was on there too, and how they got it all going. And it has me remembering they did a one night only all women's pay-per-view so many years ago. NWA's doing one. WWE finally did Evolution. We're waiting for the next one. It should be an annual thing. So Impact is the prime promotion to have an all women's pay-per-view every year. Why not start it this year? If no one else is going to give it, and congrats to NWA, I'm very happy that you're doing it. But Impact, arguably right now, has the best women's division in all of wrestling. And it doesn't have to be just Impact roster that can do it. We're already roster sharing with AEW. I'm pretty sure with the pandemic kind of lessening, you can get some talent from Stardom and maybe even the NWA. Impact, let's see you do it, because you did it first. Give us an annual all women's pay-per-view. And I would definitely pay to see it. I'm sure some people would. So that's kind of what I would love to see, since everyone else seems to be dropping the ball on that. So,
Yeah, you know that you mentioned that and you talk about Impact. It makes me think of the way they used to do their World Cup.
yes.
Where they would bring in some, usually was AAA talent for Team Mexico, and they would bring I think it was New Japan originally too for the Team Japan. You can almost do not a country, but almost like a women's cup, where each promotion, has some talent that
There's
you
a
can
lot
kind
out
of.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. And like you said, I mean, they've got AEW, you've got Stardom, NWA. I really, I really think that would be a great idea. And you're right. Like Impact was doing all these things years before, and WWE did too, which is why I don't understand WWE. I mean, even during the Attitude Era, they were doing all their bra and panties and all the stupid bikini things. A little bit after that, they would start having actual women's matches. It would obviously not be as many, and then they just got away from it themselves. And then they're like, "Oh, we're starting a revolution." And I'm like, "You created the thing." That's the thing that always bugged me, was like, you created this situation, and now you want us to praise you for finally catching up. And like I said, that's why it's always difficult with WWE, because they're a corporation, and that nothing they do is ever comes across genuine. It's how are we going to make money out of this? And I get that, but it just takes away from the way it should be.
They had Tristan to main event Raw one night, and then what? So and
and they used to have Victoria and them doing hardcore matches, and they did some cage matches. So, yeah, but again, they go back to what they always do, and then I don't want to disrespect the women that were wrestling during the Divas era, because you did have Beth Phoenix and some of these, and you've talked about, even like I know Tino talked about, the Bellas have said they wanted to do more. They just at that time they didn't give it to them. They would give them 3 minutes with introductions,
right,
and that was all they had for the match. So I don't understand why, especially with this, and it's what they focus on in the women's division, right? Like you had the women's tag belts, and Reginald is the centerpiece going up to WrestleMania. Look, the guy's talented. Apparently, he's former Cirque du Soleil. He's super athletic and flexible, and acrobat type stuff. Why was he the centerpiece of the women's tag title scene? Alexa Bliss right now. I know there was some talk about the Fiend maybe out, also dealing with some mental health issues, trying to get over the death of Brody Lee, and I totally understand that part of it. I don't understand why they gave his gimmick to her and why this is the major storyline now. All joking aside, because I know I give you a hard time about Alexa Bliss. She is super talented, both in ring and as a character, because she was really killing the character, and I guess she even is kind of now. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know why this supernatural thing is what they're going with. Like,
it's they want to keep Bray around, and they're just giving her this gimmick to keep running until they bring him back. That seems what the obvious thing is, and
I guess it's.
They've invested a lot in this character, and they want her to be a part of it. And then, but what if Bray can't do it anymore? Do you bring Finn up and have him run this demon character again, and have her be a part of that? So, I mean, it's where do you go from there? But I think what makes Alexa more talented is that whatever they give her, she runs with and just kills it.
Yeah.
She started with the whole cheerleader thing and whatnot, and then she's worked into a happy-go-lucky face. She worked into a heel, made a name for herself with that. And now she's run this whole Fiend thing. So she does well with it. She was a part of the Miz and Mrs. episode where they were having the roast for Miz's nuts before he got a vasectomy, which is hilarious. But, it's like I said, I feel like on some level it's regressed. I think where I started to not... where I saw the women's division really going down for... WB, and obviously the bra and panties is obvious. We knew there was people signed just because they saw them in a underwear catalog. But when they got rid of the women's title and just brought the Divas title, I hated that.
Yeah.
But then when Caitlyn won it, and then AJ Lee gave that title some legitimacy to the point where they started the road to get it back to being called a women's championship, which we were at that WrestleMania where they brought it back. That's where they're bringing it back. But now it's you're on a high. Now you're starting to regress. It's almost like Becky Lynch can't get back soon enough to make this mean something again. So,
and and I remember them saying after the first Revolution, oh well, they can't do it without Ronda Rousey. Like she's the only reason they had the pay-per-view.
I mean,
it's WWE pay-per-views are on the network. Like it's not like you have to sell a $60 pay-per-view anymore. Like. It's $5 if you don't mind. Now it's $5 if you don't mind commercials on Peacock stuff, or it's still just basically $10 even if you want their full package. You own the means of you own the channel. Like you can put these specials on shows on any time you want. There's really been no excuse to not. You could have even done it during the pandemic in Thunderdome.
Right.
But there's really been no excuse to not have a second Revolution. Did I call it Evolution? I don't know.
It's Evolution, but yeah.
Just an it is Evolution, right? Yeah. But yeah, like it's simple. You even with all the talent you've released, you still have tons of talent. NXT is usually stocked with more talent that they actually allow the women to wrestle and stuff. That's what I should have done my 1 minute warning on. The best storyline right now in wrestling is Index, the Indy Hartwell, Dexter Lumis love story that got Poppy involved. I don't know why Poppy is so popular with NXT tonight, or with NXT like in the last year or so. But she showed up. Dexter brought her one of his drawings of her. Yeah. She hugged him, and that's right when Indy Hartwell showed up. And she was like, no, it's funny because Triple H and Regal were there, and they're like all awkward, like, oh. But like you have the talent across the board, and they've just misused it so horribly. We go back to the Cassie Lee, the promo on Raw. She just I just wanted to wrestle. Like basically, she was like, my talent's here. You just haven't used me. And then we found out, I think Tina said the only reason she wound up getting that match a week or two later was because someone had COVID.
Yeah.
It
sucks.
And the last thing I'll say about WWE, because this is the way I feel, they keep talking about that you don't have stars nowadays like you do. Like Roman is the only star right now. My thing is, I think WWE kind of wants it that way. Partially because of Punk. Mm-hmm. Because when someone got so big and then he left and the fans were overtaking the shows for months afterwards with CM Punk chants. There's such a big machine now that, like we've talked about and Tommy said, Like, it just runs itself. Like, it's just a self-perpetuating thing of, like, it's just always going to be there. I don't think they need superstars that can transcend them. You know, The Rock, Stone Cold. In a sense, they were bigger than WWE, and they kind of still are in certain ways. I don't think they want that anymore because I think they need to be able to control it. And, you know, so Roman Reigns, definitely the top guy right now in WWE. Not quite the big star in the world, you know, like a movie star or anything like that.
Right.
And I think they prefer it that way because they're you know, they basically want to keep them company guys so they can, you know, control it, basically. That's the way I feel about it.
Before we wrap this up, let you know RCW actually just tweeted about 10 minutes ago. They've added a second summer event. Obviously, we know they're coming back June 27th at the Grand Event Center. Only standing room, only general admission seats are left for that. They've sold out all the reserve seating. They are adding another show Sunday, July 25th, the day after Mike turns 40, at the Grand Event Center, and Colt Cabana is confirmed for that show on the Falaba. So.
All right. Well, I know what I'm doing to celebrate my 40th.
Yes, that'll be a Sunday night show. Event starts at 5 p.m. Visit RCW at RCW Forever on Twitter for the details on how you can get tickets and everything like that. So, all right.
Think your sister wants to go to celebrate her birthday?
Probably not. I think she's gonna be at the beach that weekend, actually. So, let's get into what's happening this weekend. Impact Against All Odds is Saturday, June 12th at 7 p.m. Central Time. I don't believe there's a pre-show. It'll be at the Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, and will be exclusively on Impact Plus. Check out ImpactWrestling.com on how to sign up. Definitely worth the money. There's a pretty awesome library, a lot of things that they do as well. Impact Plus made a lot of improvements during the pandemic too, so it's definitely worth it. On Sunday, we have NXT TakeOver in Your House, Sunday, June 13th at 6 p.m. Central Time. If there is a pre-show, it's probably going to start around 5:30. It'll be at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. And of course, in the U.S., it's only available on Peacock, everywhere else on WWE Network. As for us, at the bottom of the screen, our Twitter account, at @CCG_WrestleCast. Let us know what you think about Against All Odds and NXT TakeOver in Your House. We're going to be recapping both shows next week. And then, of course, also next week, after we talk about those two and recap them, we will be previewing WWE Hell in a Cell, which for the past few years hasn't always been the best show, but it's interesting.
Well, there's no Fiend, so at least we probably won't get the heat lamp, so there's that.
We hope, right? Or no DQ finish with Lesnar. But interesting to note that Lesnar has been moved from the alumni to the active roster section of the WWE website. Yeah, not looking forward to that either. But Hell in a Cell has been moved up. It seems more and more in the calendar. It's on June. Money in the Bank is going to be in July. So this is potentially the last pay-per-view before the return of live fans. So we'll see what kind of send-off they give the Thunderdome. Because it's
oh my God.
You know, what if they destroy the whole Thunderdome?
I was just thinking that, like, either in the Hell in a Cell match, they're going to escape the cage or escape the cell and just go through and, like, knock all the TVs down and throw each other in. Like, yeah, they're somehow. Well, that's the last pay-per-view, but there's still a few SmackDown and Raws, right?
Oh yeah, there's still some time.
Okay,
but
so maybe not a Hell in a Cell, but at the last Thunderdome show, one match is going to go through and tear that place down. Yeah, I think you're right.
See what they do with that too. They always seem whenever they want a new stage, let's just get rid of the old one, the hard one. You know, so.
That's how we got the SmackDown Fist. Rhino gored Chris Jericho through the original one, and then next week,
whether you saw us live or you're watching us on demand, we appreciate you joining us. We got a full show next week. To all the teachers and students out there after a crazy year, enjoy the summer. Well deserved. Yeah. Mike, you especially, and my wife Tina, of course. So, thank you. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. Mega Powers 99. You know, you do this way, right? Yeah.
Oh, so, right.
Yeah. All right. For the Countdown City WrestleCast, over here we got Mike.
Thanks, guys. Be good to each other.
And I'm JC. And as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real.
People are
fake.
fake.